Okay, guys, it's us, Metal Real. I'm Ed. That's Kelly.
Aye.
Today, before we do our first review, so Kelly, what are we doing today?
We are going to review probably the greatest superhero icon of all time.
Fantastic Four?
Nope.
Howard Duck, whatever it's called?
Nope. Before you say
Ant-Man?
Closer.
Catwoman?
Where are they?
Oh, my dad!
Maybe your dad after a drunken bender.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this is Batman Begins review.
Especially anyone who hasn't, like the one person out there who's not heard of the new Batman trilogy. Is directed by the fantastic... I mean, obviously, everyone knows who he is, Christopher Nolan. He's got a lot of praise for it. I mean, people say he's overrated now, but I mean, anyone is famous.
You can't really name a bad Christopher Nolan film. The closest you can name a bad Christopher Nolan film is possibly Dark Knight Rises. But even so, it's still a good film. We start off with a young Bruce Wayne.
When did this come out? 2006, I believe, wasn't it?
2000...
Yeah, 2006.
2006?
2006, I think Dark Knight 2008.
It was 2005, I believe. Oh no, tell us on IMDb somehow.
Yeah, it's 2005. And like, I mean, the film before that was was Batman Robin, which was god awful.
That destroyed all the credibility of the Dark Knight.
Pretty much. So
you couldn't go anywhere without seeing bat nipples, bat credit card, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr.
Ice to seal.
Just kick some ice.
Bane was awful in that. God.
Bane was pretty much Hulk if you took away his credibility.
Pretty
I
much,
put him in a luchador mask.
Yeah, pretty much.
Poison Ivy, shit. Batgirl, crap. Chris O'Donnell as Robin, probably the second worst casting I've ever seen in a Batman film.
What's first?
George Clooney as Batman.
Basically, Batman Begins came after like a decade after the last Batman film.
I think the animated series went a far way to recovering his credibility. The Kick-Ass animated series, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, etc., etc.
Who introduced Harley Quinn?
Explained a bit more about Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that's what they want to try and do with in the film.
On top of that, all the animated movies like The Mask of Phantasm, The World's Finest thing with Superman.
The Mr. Freeze one.
Yeah, that was probably the best one.
Yeah, when he actually obviously got all the other animated films they've done since then.
In that main animated
Justice League was another one beforehand.
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Yeah, it showed Batman kicks ass even with
pretty much. But basically, so the world has slowly been introduced back into Batman being a cool comic book character.
Basically, since the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel came out, and the Year One Batman novel, expectations of Batman rose and rose until people were arguing him, Wolverine, Spider-Man.
Well, the thing was, by 2006, you already had the first two X-Men films. I think you already had the first two Spider-Man films.
I think the second Spider-Man was going to be released that year, so people had high expectations.
I think it was released a year beforehand, because I think it was 2000.
Actually, yeah, it was Spider-Man 2, then Batman Begins, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, and he had, I think, Fantastic Four had been released.
Obviously, Superman was down the shitter with Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Green Lantern, to be seen. DC were in the crapper.
Yeah, there was literally Marvel was taking the course.
DC had all the aspects of the animated universe, cartoon series, video games, even occasionally.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, DC had control, all apart from movies.
Yeah, and I think Christopher Nolan came in. I mean, no one expected to be that good. I mean, I remember going to cinema with my dad. My dad was my dad convinced me to go see it because I thought, no, Batman's rubbish.
I had so low expectations. I liked Batman just from the Justice League animated series. Yeah. That's the only thing that gave me hope. Batman and Robin, I saw it and I cried.
Oh, so you come out and it's just like 2 hours later, thinking, it's brilliant.
2 hours, more like 3.5 hours later.
That's the third one.
Fair point.
Alright, let's go on to the main plot though before we get to
We start off with a young Bruce Wayne playing about his pretty much 20 billion acre garden.
With his friend Rachel Dawes. They're both about, 10, 12?
That sort of young people age.
They're playing hide and seek and he's got a spearhead or an arrowhead or something.
He says finders keepers, runs off.
Yeah, and he goes...
Calm as a bitch and he falls down a well.
At that point, and then lots of bats circle, which then realise it's actually a dream or nightmare he has where he's in a prison.
Yeah.
And he's where he was.
And then his dad comes down, obviously with the abseiling. Yeah, the well we know, remember. Are we talking about the flashback he had?
Yeah, but he meets Liam Neeson just before him, doesn't he? because the flashback to begin with is
No, I'm talking about right at the beginning.
You don't see his dad until later on.
Okay, yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah, so when he's at the prison, he meets Liam Neeson, who, by the way, actually before we go any further, there will be major spoilers, but I mean, it's been out long enough, so
if you haven't seen it, go watch it before this video, come back, and then give us your hate for other reasons.
Yes. But basically, he meets this guy who's, I believe he's called Deckard to begin with.
Henry Deckard.
Yeah, he goes...
basically, it's Liam Neeson taking on the Mr. Miyagi role.
Yeah, he's pretty much like, he knows Bruce Wayne's trying to find something in his life.
He knows Bruce Wayne, he knew his father,
yeah,
he taught him all the martial arts he needs to beat Batman and all the ninja skills.
So basically what happens is, like, after he gets taken out of prison, he finds his flower, and he goes to the League of Shadows,
and he tells him he wants to learn the skills to fight.
He then gets beaten up, but then he smells the flower in his sleep, so he somehow realise what he's thinking about. I don't know how, they're not mind readers.
Well, it's a comic, they have to have some fantastical comic element. It's not like they had the Martian Manhunter touching his head. Tell me what you're thinking, Batman.
But then that's when he has the flashback, when he has, like, you see his dad, his mum. His dad's a doctor who works.
Alfred is Michael Caine as Alfred.
Yeah, Michael Caine. Like, Michael Caine is just really cool.
Michael Caine is probably the best UK actor, tied with probably Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Going out into the US and people thinking, wow, the UK actually is good. Michael Caine.
But basically, you see how his parents die, where after their first show, they walk out, and this guy by the name of Joe Chill shoots both of them. Bruce Wayne.
He tries to nick their wallet. He panics, shoots the dad. Wife tries to revive him. Bang! He's dead.
Yeah.
She's dead. Bruce Wayne. I think he just most traumatic experience a kid can ever have.
Yeah, pretty much. But then, like, he has to start a bit more training for Liam Neeson, and it's still find out more about how he went to the trial of his parents killed, and he was actually planning to kill him himself.
But that is his first step to becoming Batman.
Yeah, and
he throws away the gun. He knows that's not the way to do it.
After Rachel confronts him about
After Rachel bitch slaps him.
Yeah. But he goes and he meets Carmine Falcone, who is the godfather of Gotham.
He's the kingpin of Gotham.
Yeah, and he realises, like, pretty much everyone who is like a policeman, a judge, DAs, all corrupt. There's no justice in Gotham. So he runs off, and he actually joins the criminal element, doesn't he? And
he joins the criminal underworld in Asia.
Yeah, and to sort of
he gets actually jailed for stealing his own stuff.
Yeah, and that's why he gets stuck in that prison to get the film. But then after that, after he had the whole training for the League of Shadows,
obviously he disappoints Liam Neeson and
Ra's al Ghul
and Ra's al Ghul,
or Ra's al Ghul, depending on what film or animated series you're going with.
You're either a race man or a race man.
Basically, sets the place alight, kills Ra's al Ghul.
I don't think he really wanted to kill him. I think.
Well, yeah, but it's an accident.
It's an accident, manslaughter.
Yeah,
and then he saves Henry Deckard. Takes him to a old Asian village with the old Asian man he met before. He'll take care of him. Comes back to Gotham, has some banter with Michael Caine and Rachel.
Well, he takes back his company. No, he doesn't do it.
No, he doesn't take. He joins it. He works for his company. He works with Morgan Freeman,
who plays Lucius Fox, who is his Q, isn't it?
Yeah.
From James Bond. He's like gives him all the gadgets. At first, Lucius Fox
gives him some advice, gives him business advice, gives him the tools to become Batman.
That's what I love about Lucius Fox. He goes like, if you don't feel comfortable, he goes, look, you own the place. I don't give a crap what you do, as long as it's like I'm not in trouble for it in a way.
As long as I don't get fired from my cushy job, I'm a-okay.
But he pretty much gives him what? He gives him the suit.
He gives him the stuff for the suit, the car, the cape.
He has to buy some
the weapons, the batarangs.
Yeah, he has to buy some other stuff, but I don't know.
He has to buy, I think, the cape material.
No, he doesn't buy the cape material. He gets off Lucius because he shows like
he buys all the mask stuff. Doesn't he?
And he gets the
ears.
Yeah, and that's where we meet Commissioner Gordon, or actually Sergeant Gordon by this point, I believe.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, my favourite actor. Actually, he's brilliant.
I'm tainted by Lost in Space, but yeah, carry on.
He's funny and good thing in that, but he's basically he realised he's one of the few good cops left in Gotham.
Well, he's probably the only good cop. Let's be honest.
He got the other commissioner, but he's
debatable.
Like Bruce in a not kind of almost finished Batman costume meets him, and he finds out what Falcone does in terms of getting all the drugs and then
probably the best threatening of all time. He goes up behind him with a stapler
in a way of a gun. So but at this point he gets always credit. But just before he stops Falcone, we're introduced to Cillian Murphy, who plays Scarecrow, also known as Dr. Jonathan Crane,
who is probably was one of the lesser known Batman villains.
I think he's one of the best ones. Actually,
yeah, he is one of the best ones, but he's not one of the. He wasn't one of the well-known ones.
But yeah, it's the idea he takes what Batman does and uses it against him. And actually, I realised he uses
Batman's ultimate kind of weakness, which
is
his
just the way he's twisted. Like the idea of fear and like the way he can help people against them until he's almost become as insane as his patients. But
is that pretty much half of Arkham is pretty much these people who plead insanity, and Dr. Crane makes
who work for Falcone.
Who work for Falcone, like Victor Zsasz, you're introduced in the film. He does
not really much. He's literally there as a cameo.
If you play Arkham, you know, or read the comics, you know who Zsasz is, but you get him for a cameo. So all the fanboys were happy for. Yay! Yeah, carry on.
But basically, and he realised that Dr. Jonathan Crane / Scarecrow is working with Falcone, and he takes half the drugs to Arkham, also known as the Narrows, whereas the other drugs go to the drug dealers. Yeah. But we don't know really much about that yet. But after this is when we first see Batman. He takes out a good 20 or so guys.
He takes a good dozen or so guards out who are all armed and everything.
There's a great bit of that guy shooting. He goes, "Where are you?" Turns around, Batman's upside down. Goes, "Right here."
And then you get the oblivious "I'm Batman" line, which is in every Batman media. Just grabs Falcone, "I'm Batman,"
and goes,
and makes
"What the hell are you? I'm Batman."
And makes a makeshift bat signal.
Yeah.
Moving on the plot, because we're probably taking too long in this video.
Rachel meets Bruce again.
We're just going to fly through the points now. Meets Rachel again.
Yeah.
Rachel
gets paralysed.
Gets paralysed by Scarecrow. Batman befriends Gary Oldman properly.
Yeah.
And then
stops Scarecrow. But he realises he's working with someone.
Henry Ducard comes in, revealing he is the real Ra's al Ghul.
Or possibly it is a title passed up.
Dun dun dun.
Rachel almost dies before that, by the way, in a massive car chase where like Scarecrow has poisoned her. Batman goes to save her, stops Scarecrow, who gets sent to the insane asylum because he gets poisoned. Had the car chase. Then he's at his birthday party
where Ra's al Ghul gate crashes it. Pretty much,
he reveals the plan is all the drugs they put into the Narrows.
Reveals it was all the League of Shadows and his idea to destroy Gotham, like League of Shadows always do with every city.
And a bit earlier on the film, which we miss, is the water vaporizer, which is basically a machine which it destroys the enemy's water supply.
You think we'd remember a big plot point? Right?
Yeah, we're doing bad here.
It's our first review. Be nice.
Which it pretty much destroys the water supply. What it does, it releases all the toxins in the air to make people turn insane. Yeah. So Batman has to go to stop him.
Yeah, they mix the water vaporizer with Scarecrow's fear gas. Then boom, boom, boom. Most of Gotham is shut down and living in their own fears, including. Amazingly, they always do this. Gotham. They always send all their police force into a massive emergency, and they all get screwed over.
Yeah.
Dark Knight, it was the boats. Joker was going to blow up.
Yeah, well, it's the person, isn't it?
Yeah, and the explosion for Harvey Dent, so they get the blame.
Yeah. Well, Batman
begins. They get scared the hell out of, and
Dark Knight Rises all in tunnels.
And Dark Knight Rises.
No wonder there's so many bad guys.
If the Gotham police force was more like, if we had a Gotham police force full of Batmen,
or like Hot Fuzz.
If we had the Hot Fuzz people in Gotham working with Batman, we wouldn't need a Justice League.
No.
Screw Superman. We got friggin' Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
But basically, he beats Ra's al Ghul, whatever we call them.
In a pretty awesome scene, really, with
Gary Oldman.
He reveals he's Bruce Wayne to Rachel Dawes. He scares off Scarecrow. Like, if Rachel Dawes scares off Scarecrow with a taser, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Comes in, he's going to be the big villain. Little taser.
But after his house is burned down by Ra's al Ghul.
He becomes a bit more badass. Michael Caine saves him. Michael Caine gives him the pep talk.
And then that's where he stops Ra's al Ghul. But basically after that, like, at the end of the film, the mansion's burned down and they're making it. But then he realised what he's done, because all the shares of Wayne Enterprises are public, so he buys all of them. So therefore he becomes the owner. Yeah. Lucius Fox gets his job back because
that's pretty much the person who runs the company when Wayne isn't there.
Yeah, Rachel Dawes knows but believes until like Gotham is safe, they can't be together.
And on top of that, she keeps his secret as well.
Yeah, Commissioner Gordon and Batman start going to have the bat signal at the ready, and also introduce Joker card,
which obviously leads up to the second film and our second review nicely. But first of all, we're going to say what we truly think of Batman Begins instead of explaining the plot.
Should we get 5 stars?
How about we do different sections of it, like action scenes?
Pretty good. No,
4 out of 5. I think there could have been a bit more done, especially with Scarecrow.
Yeah,
Scarecrow.
That's more character though.
Yeah, that's more character based, but I think they could have done.
I think actually I would give it 5 stars.
4. I would give.
I mean, you got the car chase, you got the Narrows bit, you got the explosion, the monastery,
and the burning mansion and top of that. But again, he ups the action in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, which shows it can be done better. So I give it 4. He gives it 5. Characters 5 out of 5 every time.
5. Yeah.
You can barely go wrong with
Christian Bale, Batman.
Christian Bale, Gary Oldman as
Lucius,
Commissioner.
Morgan Freeman, sorry.
Morgan Freeman as
Michael
Fox, Michael Caine as Alfred.
I think the only bad person is Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes.
But the Rachel Dawes character is pretty bad in my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
It was just Chris Nolan can't
She's
do
a catalyst,
characters well. Well, she dies in... Not spoiler, she dies.
Didn't know they in Dark Knight they couldn't get Katie Holmes back, that's why they had Maggie Gyllenhaal. So that's why you watch the second one and you think, why she changed, that's why.
So don't worry, she didn't suddenly grow up from looking like a 12-year-old to looking like a 45-year-old.
Yeah,
it was just because she's a bitch.
Good. Alright, so yeah, characters 5 out of 5, you got 4 for the action.
Storyline.
Plot, I got 5.
5, because I think it's the best storyline.
There's no really good origins out of Batman besides Batman Begins.
I don't think there's many good origins in superheroes generally.
No,
Spider-Man, been done to death. Superman is pretty much the same storyline as Dragon Ball Z, as you manga fans will know as well as I do. On top of that, Green Lantern, pretty basic and boring.
Batman, like, the way they do it, it's all been left out.
The only good origin stories, in my opinion, in movies with superheroes, X-Men Origins, not the Wolverine, First Class, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Their origin story, Wolverine origin kind of sucks.
And each actual origin's good, the film rubbish.
We'll get onto that later on a different video, possibly.
Oh, God.
Batman has an awesome origin, and Daredevil, if done properly.
Yeah, it's like a Wicked Ninja Turtles.
On top of them, can you think of a good origin story which could be put into a good film?
But our next review is Dark Knight, which is the second.
On top of that, though, we need to give a total overall performance for Batman Begins. Say, out of 10? Out of 10 what?
No, it's probably one of my favourites, if not my favourite, because I've seen the other two too many times.
I think Batman Begins is a solid 8 out of 10.
So I rate it more than you do, I think. I think because I prefer it, because I prefer the sort of the subtle nuances and performances.
I do like it, it's just, I think Batman Begins is lacking in a few things, mainly the strong female character, which Batman stories do need.
Yeah.
That really annoyed me, and I just prefer Dark Knight, really.
I mean, I've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
Right, but that's basically it.
Next time, Dark Knight Rises as well in the future. We're going to be doing comic book movies first, so get ready, comic book nerds. We're pandering to a certain demographic already.
Yeah, ours.
Yeah, our people. We love you.
Batman,
Spider-Man, tell us what you want as well, but we're not reviewing Green Lantern or Transformers.
That's Transformers for you.
And that's Green Lantern. Goodbye, people of the interwebs.
Bye.